Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Kruger and I'm an Autodesk application engineer for Modular Design Centers Durban, with my main focus being on the mechanical discipline. Today we're going to look at one tech tip inside of Autodesk Inventor. Alright, I've switched to Inventor, and in this week's tip I'm going to look a little bit more in detail at what view reps do. So I'm using the same model that I had last week with the level of detail. It's just this week I'm going to be looking at the view more specifically. So, and what does this view representation do? So if I select components and I switch off the visibility of something and I save it, you normally get these kind of errors if you don't understand what view reps do and how they work. So essentially switching the visibility of that thing off overrode it from its default view, which is visible. And if that's the case, it can't be on master because master is locked and everything in its original state. And originally inside of that part, you can see it. So if you can see it in the part, you're supposed to see it in the assembly. If I create a new level of detail, I'm just going to leave it as view 1 and click save. You'll see the program doesn't moan. It just saves the file because it understands there's a view rep. And on this computer, if I close the model and I open it again, if I click on options, you can actually choose. You see over here for the view drop down, it's on last active, and I can actually choose view 1 or isolate, which is the one I created. So if I select the isolate one and I say okay and open, it's actually going to open up with everything else disabled. So that's one of the things that the views do. If I double click on the view, as you can see everything else, and it also does include your camera view of the model or your view of the model. So however you have it when you save those view reps, it will remember that. Now, one of the other things, I'm just going to go back to master, and what I want is I want these parts to be a different color. So I'm selecting the 4 of them, clicking the appearance drop down. So not the material, you can't change the material. So I'm going to set them all to be a nice chrome material. And if I save, I'm going to get an error because I haven't got a saved view rep. So I'm going to create a new view and I'm going to call it Chrome. Now, if I have a view representation created Chrome and I go back to master, it's going to go back to however that part looks. So in other words, if I open this part on its own, open this part, so obviously this is a sub-assembly, I have to get to the part level. And at a part level, I'm going to say, right, this file is supposed to be, I don't want the same color, let's say red. Okay, save it and close it. So here it's red because on this one, it's following the part. And as you can see here in our top level assembly, it is also red. If I go to Chrome, however, it toggles it back to Chrome. So that's one of the things to look at, and you can actually tell if I activate Chrome, I click on one of these parts, I find it in its browser, and I select the individual at a part level. So as you can see, if you look at the top, there's a tiny little star on the name, and that shows me that this is overridden. And anything like that, you'll see there's a clear override. And another neat trick that you can do is if you right click on a view, you can actually remove appearance overrides. So that would be if I had, say for example, switched off the visibility of that, and I wanted that inside of this view representation. I wanted the box to be invisible, but I've also been changing colors and overriding things, and I just want to revert the colors back to their default state, but I don't want to lose my visibility. I can right click and say remove appearance overrides. And as you can see, the colors that were originally on those parts are then pulled back through. Vice versa, if I wanted to just show all of them, you see I can say all visible, and that will toggle the visibility of everything on but maintain the color overrides. So because the view representation can do more than one thing, they give you more options of being able to switch off the color overrides that you've done but keep the view, or make everything hidden or as you want. And also you can also lock camera view. So that would be, so an example with that, I'm just going to switch the visibility of this off. I'm going to save this and I'm going to lock it. Now the reason I would lock it is I might want to create a drawing of this, and I don't want anyone just changing it. So if I click on a part and say visible and save it, it doesn't allow me. This is now a locked view representation, which is uneditable. So I'm going to go back to master and go back to Chrome, and you'll see that part's back on. So if I create a drawing view of this using my custom template that we migrated, I'm going to change it to the front view, and before I put it down, you'll see over here there's a little view representation. So obviously it's already set on Chrome, but you'll see this little associativity is off. If I switch on that associativity and click on OK, this view will actually link itself back to that model. I'm just going to make this bigger. Okay, so there's our engine view. I'm going to go back to my model. I'm going to unlock my view. I'm going to switch off these two parts, maybe also those screws, and I'm going to save the view rep. So when I hit save, I'm just Control-S-ing, it's going to save it to that Chrome view, and if I go to my drawing, you'll see it instantly updates. Now if I had to switch the associativity off, what will then happen is on my view, if I switch off these over here, so I'm just trying to select them, go visibility, and I save it. It has been saved to the view representation here, but on my drawing it won't update because I've switched off that associativity. And I do get calls about this from time to time. I'm just going to switch these off, visibility, save it, go to my drawing. You can switch this off and on as much as you want, and I get calls about this from time to time where people say, I'm trying to hide this part but it doesn't let me, and that generally will happen. So if I pick, I'm just going to shift right click, go to part priority, select, okay, so let's say this part here, I want to switch its visibility off and I can't. The reason for that is the view is associative to the view of the model. So if you ever have it that you're on a drawing and you're trying to hide something and you can't, you more than likely forgot to switch off the link. If I switch off the link, it's no longer going to update to the drawing, but it will allow me to control its visibility over here. So the model is no longer the driver of the view. You are controlling that independently. That's it for this week, and thanks for watching. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below, and make sure to check us out on our social media platforms, which are linked in the description. Till next time, cheers.